Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive with us. Today we're tackling something I think we can all relate to, that feeling of being stuck. You know, when you have dreams, goals, maybe even prayers, but you just don't seem to be making any headway.
Oh, it's the worst.
Mhm.
Like you're spinning your wheels. It can be so frustrating.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes today's source material so interesting. We're diving into an excerpt from Mindful Minutes by Apostle Israel Eremanciel Aloja, and he has some really insightful things to say about this whole idea of why our desires sometimes feel stuck.
Yeah, I was reading through it earlier, and I think a lot of people are going to find his perspective really thought-provoking. He doesn't shy away from the tough questions.
No, he doesn't. So to get us started, he begins by talking about desire and prayer and how they're important, but they're not the be-all and end-all.
Right. It's like we often think that if we want something badly enough and we pray hard enough, then that's all it takes.
Yeah, like it should just magically happen, right? But Aloja argues that there's this other crucial piece of the puzzle: action.
Action. It almost seems too simple, but he makes a really compelling case for why it's so essential.
So walk me through it. You're saying it's not enough to just wish for something. We have to actually do something about it. How does Aloja see action as this bridge between our dreams and reality?
He uses this really powerful analogy. Well, it's actually a parable about a man trapped in a flood.
Oh, I think I remember that one. It's pretty intense.
Definitely. So in the story, this man is refusing rescue, convinced that God is going to save him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but he ends up drowning.
That's a heavy image. It makes you think, are we ever like that man, stuck in our own personal floods, just waiting for a rescue that might need to come from within?
I think that's exactly the point Aloja is trying to make. We can get so fixated on a specific outcome, a miracle even, that we completely overlook the opportunities that are right in front of us.
Like the boat's being sent to rescue the man. He's so focused on divine intervention that he misses the very real practical help that's being offered.
Precisely. And it begs the question, are we doing that too? Waiting for a sign, for the perfect moment when we could be taking steps right now.
I mean, I know I've been guilty of that in the past. It's easy to get caught up in wanting things to be easy or to happen in a certain way, but I think that can definitely hold us back.
Aloja doesn't sugarcoat it. He dives right into the common reasons why we don't take action.
Oh, yeah, I remember that from the excerpt. He talks about things like fear of failure.
Oh, yeah. Definitely fear of failure.
Yeah.
Also procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, good old self-doubt.
Hmm. You know, before we move on, I want to unpack this fear of failure a little bit.
Oh, sure. Yeah. What's on your mind?
Well, we're always told that ambition is a good thing, right? So how can we be afraid of actually achieving what we want?
Well, it might sound counterintuitive, but Aloja actually suggests that sometimes what we're afraid of isn't failure, it's success.
Afraid of success. Okay, now that is interesting. Tell me more about that.
Well, think about it. When we achieve something significant, it often requires us to change.
To become a new version of ourselves, almost.
Exactly. And sometimes that can be pretty scary. We might have to leave behind old identities, step outside of our comfort zones, and even embrace new responsibilities.
I guess in a way we can become comfortable with who we are, even if it's not really who we want to be. And then change, even if it's good change, can feel threatening because it's the unknown.
Yeah, it's like we're wired to seek a certain level of safety and predictability, even if it means staying stuck. And Aloja really hits on that tension between wanting to grow, but also fearing the unknown. It's almost like this subconscious self-sabotage.
Tell me about it.
Like we're scared of what success might actually bring, so we end up procrastinating. We make excuses,
Yeah.
or even worse, we actually create obstacles for ourselves.
Yeah, I can see that, just like not even realizing we're doing it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But Aloja doesn't just point out the problem, does he? What are some of his suggestions for actually overcoming these obstacles?
Well, he really stresses that action doesn't have to be this big, overwhelming thing. It can start small.
Ah, okay. I remember him talking about the power of small, consistent steps.
Right.
He
Exactly.
compares it to like planting a seed, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You're not going to see it grow into a giant oak tree overnight, are you?
No, of course
You
not.
have to keep nurturing it.
You have to keep showing up day after day.
Exactly.
You've got to keep watering it. Okay, I get that. But how do we actually put that into practice? Like, it's easy to say, take small steps, but what does that really look like?
Okay, so Aloja makes a great suggestion. Use a visual tracker.
Or journal. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so you can actually see your progress, even if it's just those tiny little wins.
And that can be so motivating, can it?
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And it helps you build self-efficacy.
Self-efficacy. Remind me what that is again.
Basically, it's the belief in your own ability to succeed.
Oh, right, right. And that's so crucial, right? Because it's like when you see yourself making progress, no matter how small, it kind of fuels you to take even more action, keeps that momentum going.
Absolutely. And it ties in with what Aloja said about trusting the process.
Okay, right, right. Trusting the process. I think that's going to be a big theme for us today.
It really is. And I think
Action.
that can be a really difficult one, you know?
For sure. Like, how do you trust the process when things aren't going according to your plan?
Right. When you hit a roadblock.
Or a setback?
Right. Or when you just feel like giving up completely.
Like, how do you cultivate that trust when it feels like no matter what you do, things just aren't happening?
Aloja reminds us that challenges and setbacks are completely inevitable.
Yeah.
It's part of the journey.
And are not failures, are they?
No.
They're opportunities to
Right.
learn and grow.
Exactly.
Like that saying, what is it? We don't learn from our successes, we learn from our mistakes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
There.
And it's about building resilience,
Resilience. Okay.
which is like the ability to bounce back from those setbacks.
To keep going even when it's tough.
Exactly. And studies actually show that resilience is a stronger predictor of success than even like talent or intelligence.
Wow, I did not know that.
Crazy, right?
So it's not about being perfect
No.
or never making a mistake
It's about getting back up and learning from it.
and moving forward even when you stumble.
Absolutely.
Okay, so resilience. Got it. But what about surrender? Aloja talks about that too, right? Like surrendering to a higher power maybe or something like that.
Yeah. Remember how we talked about not being in control of everything?
Oh, right, right, right.
Sometimes, like, the hardest thing to do,
Is to let go.
yes, to let go of that need to control everything.
All the details, all the outcomes. It's hard.
It can be. But that's where surrender comes in,
But how do we know when we're actually surrendering?
versus just giving up.
Right. How do we tell the difference?
That's such a good question. I think it boils down to intention.
Okay, intention.
So giving up. Giving up feels like defeat.
Like you're closing yourself off to possibilities.
Yeah. Whereas surrender is about acceptance,
Acceptance of what?
that there might be a wisdom at play that's bigger than our own, even if we don't understand it.
Okay, so it's about trusting.
Exactly.
That even when things aren't going according to our timeline or our expectations, there's this bigger picture unfolding.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Sometimes those detours,
Challenges.
right, they lead us to something even better, something we never could have imagined on our own.
It's like, life is about the journey, not the destination. Aloja seems to be encouraging us to embrace the whole experience,
Yeah.
The ups, the downs, the unexpected stuff. It's all part of it.
The whole process, right. And it makes me think, we spend so much energy trying to control everything. What if, instead of like clinging to our plans, we just loosened our grip a bit?
Yeah, like sometimes we're trying to force a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah.
And then when things don't work out the way we expect them to, we resist and we get all frustrated. Aloja's message seems to be about finding that balance, right? Between effort and surrender.
Yeah, it's not about being passive
Yeah.
or giving up on our dreams. It's about putting in the work, but also being wise enough to let go of the outcome a bit.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we're like co-creating then.
With the universe, yeah.
We're bringing our desires, our prayers, and our efforts to the table, but we're also trusting that something bigger is guiding us towards something even better.
Which takes faith.
Faith in ourselves.
Yes. Faith in the process, and also, faith in something beyond ourselves.
Yeah. Trusting that even when we can't see the whole picture, we're still being guided and supported. Okay, so to wrap things up here, what are some key takeaways our listeners can apply to their own lives?
Well, number one, action. Don't underestimate it.
Right.
Desire and prayer are great starting points, but they have to be fueled by consistent effort.
Yeah, it's like they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. And neither are our dreams.
Right. Exactly. And remember to celebrate those small wins. It helps so much.
Don't get discouraged by setbacks either. They're not failures.
No, they're opportunities to learn and to grow.
And maybe the most important takeaway of all, cultivate that trust in the process. Let go of that need to control every tiny little thing. Surrender to the flow a bit, because you never know, those detours might lead us to something even more incredible.
Something even better than what we initially imagined. I have a thought-provoking question for our listeners.
Ooh, I love a good thought-provoking question. Let's hear it.
Okay, so think about this. If you could let go of the need to control how and when your desires manifest, what would you be doing differently today?
Whoa, that's a really good one. It's all about trust and surrender. Thank you so much for being with us today and for sharing such amazing insights. This has been a truly enlightening deep dive into the world of desire, prayer, and action.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration. We hope you found this deep dive thought provoking and inspiring. Remember, keep those desires burning bright, take action, and trust the process. Until next time.